Hey, what's going on, social media world? Aaron here. And after the last video, which had a very heavy tone, very heavy, this is a lighter video, and I'm going to read from the 100 TMI NSFW questions you've probably never been asked before. NSFW, not safe for work, questions you haven't been asked before. And clearly I'm not going to do all 100, but I will do 10 from 85 to 95. Does anyone know you masturbate? Did you have to tell them? As a same-gender loving individual, of course, people know that I masturbate because I've masturbated with people. So we're just getting right down into it. I mean, for crying out loud. So yeah, I mean, like, they had to be there, so they have to know because they saw me do it as I saw them do it. I guess it's kind of a heterosexual leaning question, which is interesting. But anyway, number 86. Did your parents ever find out you were sexually active? Yes. My mom was always very, she had a very mature viewpoint of it. She didn't want me to, she understood that when parents treat sex like this big crazy thing that, oh my gosh, you're never going to have sex in my life, it just makes the kids go out and just have like crap tons of sex and do it the wrong way and get all sorts of diseases and get saddled with teenage pregnancies and all that stuff because the parents demanded, don't you have sex? You know, and as soon as they got out from under their parents' wing or out of their parents' sight, if they were still under the parents' wing, they would have all sorts of sex. So anyway, my mom was always open with that. And she was like, well, you know, I understand that people experiment, and I want you to be safe. And she gave me a condom that I never used because I was actually the crazy conservative one. Ironic. But do you have any STDs? No. But at one point I did have a sexually transmitted, what do you call that? I had crabs. And it was the most disgusting thing. And it was so difficult to get rid of. I'm not going to lie. And I know who I got it from, too, because even though it was back in my thought days, you saw that previous video, it was somebody, like, that I dealt with, and I remember going over his house, and literally I got to his house at, like, 10 in the morning, and until, like, 7 or 8 o'clock at night, we were just rolling around in his bed, kissing and fondling and all of that stuff. And it was so romantic and so beautiful. And it was a prime opportunity for all of his crabs to jump all on my pubic hair. So, no. And that was the last time we hung out. It's interesting, though, because he was cute and it was really romantic-ish, except for the fact that I got crabs. Ugh. Anyway, have you ever masturbated to a fictional character or celebrity? Yes, and I'm going to take this to an interesting place. Of course. I mean, as an only child, I have a vivid imagination. I mean, I have a brother, but we grew up separately, mostly. But as a child who grew up as mostly the only child in the household, I have a very vivid imagination. So, of course, masturbation would include fantasizing about different people. And when I was in high school, this was so interesting because I'm so happy that it seems like times are changing. But when I was in high school and I knew that I was attracted to all of the sexy chocolate men in my high school, I didn't want to be because, of course, you know, gay is wrong, right? It's wrong to be a person who like somebody of the same gender, right? So what I would do, and this is so into, I think this speaks so much to my personality, how I would work something out so systematic with it. I would allow myself to masturbate and fantasize about guys like I think it was 4 to 5 days a week. Because of course, as a teenager, I was masturbating every freaking day and multiple times a day, some days. But I would allow myself to masturbate to thoughts of guys as I wanted to, like 4 to 5 days a week. But 2 to 3 days a week, I would force myself to fantasize about like an arbitrary woman celebrity or something. Like I was like, oh, I like Britney Spears' hair. Maybe I'll think about her, or something like that. And I mean, even as a same gender loving individual, like Britney Spears is beautiful. But I would force myself to like fantasize about stuff like that, and I'd be like, okay, because my thinking was maybe if I forced myself to do it enough, then eventually it would become what I want. But that never happened. Oh well, it's just unfortunate how society kind of puts that on people. At least did. I think things are changing for the better, and I'm happy kids, are more comfortable being themselves at a younger age. That's a blessing, honestly. Okay, have you ever had sex during 7 minutes in heaven? Initially, my answer to this question was going to be, what the is 7 minutes in heaven? Next question. But I was like, I think that would be wrong to like not do my research at all to ask the question, because I know it's coming up and be like, I don't even know what it is, ugh, you know. But so I looked it up, and for those who don't know, such as naive people like myself, 7 minutes in heaven is when it's like a teenage game. They say it originated in like the 1950s, and you're in a group of friends, and two people get randomly picked to go into a dark closet for 7 minutes and do whatever to each other that they want to do to each other. And I've never played 7 minutes in heaven, so no, I've never had sex in 7 minutes in heaven. But my first kiss was during Game of Truth or Dare, and it was Becky. And it was like, Aaron, I dare you to kiss Becky. And it was like, okay. Like, Becky was totally cool, but it's just, that's how kids are. It's like, of course we did that because we were gross. We were like grossed out, like, ew, kissing, oh, it's so gross. Anyway, now we're gonna get into the really explicit stuff. Spit or swallow, or do you not like oral? 3 separate questions. First 2 questions, neither. Third question, I do actually very much, but I have never, at least in my mouth, brought somebody to the point of completion. At that point, we're going to be sharing a masturbatory session. Not to say that I would be totally opposed to it, like, forever, but, like, I really have to know that, one, you're somebody who's going to stick around. Like, I ain't just doing that for anybody. But 2, I have to really, really know, we both know that there's a clean bill of health on that, on both sides. So that's not something that's going to happen on some sort of hookup or anything like that. Anyway, have you ever been rejected for sex? Have you ever rejected someone else? I don't know. My answer to the first question is going to make me seem like I think I'm arrogant, and it's really just because of the way that it's worded. I have absolutely been rejected a number of times, but I've not put myself in a situation that I've been rejected for sex. Have I rejected somebody for sex? I have, actually. And it's interesting because as I was growing out of my thought days, My thought days sort of lasted from 19 during my first sexual experience all the way until college graduation. And after graduation, I started to kind of pull it back. I mean, even before college graduation, mentally I started trying to pull it back, but in practice, I didn't really start trying to pull it back until like after college graduation. And I remember one time I went out on a date with this guy. And this was the first time that I realized after college, like, you don't always have to do what the guy asks you to do. And I remember we were like messing around or whatever, and I don't know if I did oral or not. Probably. I'm just being honest. Like, I mean, back in those days, yeah. But what he wanted to do was he wanted to penetrate, and I was like, mm-mm. And I just remember him like being on top of me, like trying to convince me to do it. And he made like the saddest little puppy dog face. He was like, I mean, just just the tip. And I'm like, no, no. Um, he never called me again, though. Although maybe I never called him again. I don't know how that worked out, but we never spoke with each other again. But I was just like, no, because that was the first time that I realized, like, just because you're here with the guy doesn't mean you have to do everything that he says to do. Note to the wise. Okay. Um, do you have someone who said they are willing to take away your virginity if you haven't lost it by a set age or if you just want to have a good time? No, I've never had anybody say that. I lost my virginity to a guy on a college club. How many of y'all remember College Club? That was before Facebook came out, and Facebook used to be only for college people, and then they changed it. How many of y'all remember that? Anyway, have you ever experimented with the opposite sex? Experimented is a good word, because yes, I absolutely have. And I had a phase that I really started thinking that because for the first time in my life, like I started going to church regularly, and it's a wonderful church that I still go to. They are not affirming, as it would say, of homosexuality, so that's not in their doctrine, but they are very friendly people who try to live the best lives that they can, and I appreciate that. And just because I might not agree with every single thing about the church, I agree with the vast majority of what they try to do. So, anyway, all of that to say, when I first started going to that church, they were sort of talking about the whole man and woman and how the woman is like the helpmeet for the man. And it sort of just had me thinking, and there's this girl or woman or whatever that I was really, really into, but I didn't want to tell her that I also like dudes. But I was really into her, and she was really into me. So anyway, I took out an ad on Craigslist because I was like, well, let me see what, interacting with a girl is like. And she sort of started dating somebody else or something. I don't know. But I put this ad on Craigslist, and I got a response. I was like, bisexual guy looking for bisexual girl or whatever. And we met, we hung out. She was attractive. And we fondled and kissed and all of that fun stuff. So, yeah, I experimented with the other sex. I hate to use the word experimented with her to make it seem like I used her. I genuinely, in my mind, thought that maybe that would have been the process of me starting to change as I should do, which I don't think that it's something that I should try to do. But at that time, that thought was in my mind. So anyway, when you first lost your virginity, was it intended or spontaneous? It was intended. It was a dude on College Club, and I was like, I have not had sex before, and he was like, sure, okay, whatever. Yeah, come on over. And I came over, and then when he saw me like sitting like this on his bed and all of this, He was like, wow, you've really never had sex before. Okay. And we played around. I'm sure it was horrible. He asked me to try to stick it in. We're adults here. We're talking to adult stuff. He asked me to try to stick it in, and like if this was the hole, I literally was like this. Because like all I had known about sex was like what you see on porn, and in porn it just like magically goes in, boop 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 boop. But in reality, like you have to do some work. Anyway, so eventually he stopped. He was like, okay, 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 thanks. And I remember I asked him. I was like, I've never kissed anybody before, like a real kiss. Can we kiss? And he literally did this. Okay. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty disgusting. But that was my first experience at a tongue kiss, which was pretty gross. Has anyone ever walked in when you were taking a shower with someone? No, no one's ever walked in while I was taking a shower with someone. And I don't really shower with people that much. Initially, I was going to name somebody else, but I forgot. My first relationship, I did shower with him on a number of occasions. Um, it is what it is. But other than that, no, nobody's ever walked in on it. Anyway, this video, that was the first, that was number 85 through 95 on the TMI questions that are not safe for work. Anyway, talk to y'all later, social media world. Peace, be blessed.